Hey guys, how you doing? It's Wednesday night, Wednesday evening, at least over here it is, 7 p.m. Central Time where I'm at. My name's KJ, KJ Osborne with a Z, and this is Catching Up with KJ, episode number 76. I'm super excited about this one. I hope you guys are. And thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. If you're listening later, thanks for caring. I guess you care. I appreciate it. Hope you've been having a good week and everything. It's been a good few weeks for me. I'm finally getting back again to putting more of my energy back into my YouTube and always on the website, but even more on my website as well. And I want to do more shows too. So I'm trying to pick up my work now. And my Facebook, I had a Facebook for about 7 years and it was maxed out at 5,000 people for as long as I can remember. But it got hacked several months ago and I lost all of that. So I jumped back to another Facebook account I have. It's under my name, KJ Osborne. And I started kind of fresh there. And I've got just over 1,000 people there now. But, here on the channel, we cover all kinds of subjects. We get into all kinds of stuff. And that's just a reflection of the way I see the world. I'm interested in a lot of things. I'm very curious about all kinds of subjects. But there's one subject that I've been looking back into again here lately. And that's the subject of narcissism. I'm fascinated by it. I've had some crazy experiences myself, but the other day I put up a message on my Facebook channel asking if anybody had some experiences with narcissists they might want to share, and I got a great feedback. So what we're going to do, this is an experiment, as often my Google Hangout shows are, but what we're going to do, give them the link right now to the show, and we're going to start getting some people coming in here that want to tell us their experiences. So I'm going to enter that now, and we'll see how it goes, okay? Because, again, it's on my Facebook. I've been putting messages up about this for the last few days, and I'm asking just the people who have, something to talk about, like an experience, if they could come on. I even tried to set up the best time for the people. So I'm not sure how many people we're going to get, but I'm hearing some people asking just people who have, something to talk about, like an experience. So there we go. So, hey, whoever this is, hi and welcome.
It's Nels. I'm sorry to interrupt you. As soon as I got I was like, here it is.
No, that's okay. No problem at all. I'm glad you're here. Did you click the link on Facebook?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Cool. So it works good. Okay, well, that's good. So we'll start getting some more people coming in here shortly, too. I was just saying hi to the chat room. Are you checking out the chat room right now yourself?
Yes, I just muted it because I didn't want you to have any feedback.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's cool. So, yeah, what we'll do is I'll just kind of take them as they come. And, if you'd like, you and I can get started. First off, thanks for being a friend on Facebook, and thanks for, checking out the work.
No problem. I've been a fan for a few years. I just kind of sit in the background a bit, and as the spiritual path has been so interesting, and it's always nice to see another perspective outside of the sleeping church, So at least I don't feel like I'm all crazy when I notice things, and there's someone else that notices it too. So outside of the sleeping church, So at least I don't feel. Okay. Hello?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, it was feedback. So I'll tell the story whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no, but even kind of what you're talking about there, I was thinking about some of that recently because, a lot of what I talk about is being free from organized religion. But I always try to make sure I tell people, I'm not telling people just to run away from those communities either. I mean,
right.
You can be awake and aware and still be part of organized religion. But, there is something to be said for the community and for being around other believers. I recently had some friends come out and spend some time with them, and they're believers as well. And I'd mentioned this before. It's nice just to hold your friends' hands and pray together and things like that. It's nice,
Exactly. And that's what God really wants from us. He doesn't want us to be isolated. He actually wants all of us to fellowship together. So like how you just said, there's nothing wrong with organized religion. Like I still attend church. One of my favorite people I like to follow is Michael Heiser. I was so excited when you had someone on that mentioned him because he still attends church. But
Cool. That's good to hear. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, hi, Armando. How you doing, man? I'm going to mute you just for a second, okay? Until we're going to go right down the line. But Armando, thanks for joining us. I put you on mute for now. I just have to do that as the people come in so I can keep one person on at a time. But I'll get to you shortly. Same with narcissistic resistance. I think that might be my friend Ollie. Is that Ollie?
Yeah, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, awesome, man. I hadn't mentioned you yet, but Ollie is more or less the co-host tonight with me. We're going to go right down the line with the guest and just kind of talk to him. But the reason I wanted Ollie on is Ollie kind of helped me out a lot. A few years back, I had a really severe experience with a narcissist. And you know, I knew what a narcissist was, but I had just never really had this kind of a real life experience with one. And it rocked me.
As long as I notice it's outside of the sleeping church, you know. So,
oh, okay. We're just getting feedback.
And
this stuff's going to happen a little bit, you know, guys, as we go, because again, it just kind of gets a little crazy here. But anyway, so I had my experience there with the narcissist, and what
you're talking about.
I found. Oh, I hate Tinchy. If you'd mind turning your volume down in the background, please.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Thanks. I know you can't hear it, but it comes into feedback. Thanks. I'll finish this point and I'll get back to you real quick. But so the point is, I found Ollie Matthews, some videos of his online on YouTube. I started watching him, and he really helped heal me. And this man has had some really intense experiences with narcissists in his own family. So, Ollie, welcome and thanks. And we'll get back around to you in a bit. Is that cool?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Thanks for asking me, KJ. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for your work. So, Tinchy, if you want to go ahead and get started on your story, go ahead and feel free to start up when you'd like.
Yes. So, okay. So I'm originally from Oklahoma myself, but we moved around a lot. So I ended up in Memphis, and I got into professional singing and dancing, like the choreography that you will see, like background dances. Like I was dancing with Justin Timberlake for when he received that award for the Hall of Fame. So I'm sorry, did you say something?
I put you on mute for now. I just have to.
Okay. So I was working with a very famous rapper and his family. For some reason, that's the path God put me on. And everything seemed okay. Like this studio seemed legit. They won Grammys. They did all this great stuff, you know. And so I was excited. And I knew them from through a mutual friend, and just because Justin Timberlake. If I say the rapper's name, everybody will know exactly who this. I'm a little nervous just to go.
Oh wow! Well, first off, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing this much with us, and you know, yeah, I'm sure the people are going to want to know. If you feel like telling us, that'd be awesome. But I understand if not. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've been waiting to tell this for a long time, honestly, just because they've done so much damage.
Oh, Tinchy, I'm sorry. I think you have the volume up in the background again, maybe.
I don't know how to turn it off, like, because I can barely hear you. I don't know if I should close this off. Oh, maybe that'll work.
Gosh, I'm not sure. It's probably just the volume on the screen with the chat. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see. Well, okay, I'm going to turn it back down. So if you say something, I'm sorry, I can't hear. I don't want to hold you up or hold everyone up. So the rapper is very famous. Everyone knows who he is, and he has multiple families. I'll just say, F it, forget it. It's Drake's family that's in Memphis. And man, I can't make this up, KJ. So the family, when I got into everything, because it's a family business, the studio is well known around the world, and I just didn't know them. So I got in. They loved me. They brought me in. I didn't have to pay for studio time because I became their artist. So over time, I started noticing things changing between me and the women of the family, and the stories that they told me was so bizarre. It's crazy how it aligned up with every video that you would post. They would comment like, oh, we come from, our family comes from aliens, or they, I swear I can't make this
stuff up. I love it, man. No, I love this. This is great. Outer
body experiences. They talked about how their ancestry, and like they even have a monk that's assigned to them that goes back into their quote unquote past lives. And why, like who they are, what they're able to control the weather, they're able to control the water, and I can't. So they think so highly of them. So this is just me setting up the plane. Like they are supposed to have, like their 6th great grandmother is supposed to be Nefertiti, and that the reason why there's no information back on them is because she didn't come from a human being, she came from the water. So this is them, somebody going into the background. There's even one little kid who he's like 8 years old, and the monk told them, when going back into like whatever the depths of their spirit, that the only person that he ever bowed down to is the ruler of the underworld. Mind you, this is an 8-year-old boy, and it made so much, I'm not gonna lie, it made sense, because the little boy is mean as crap. Like he was just mean. Like he was lovable, everybody wanted to be around him, but he was mean. And so he will call himself the demon child. Like, and so I cannot make this stuff up. It's so funny because I haven't spoke about this in so long. So
and just real quick,
I'm sorry. And I just didn't know.
I just want to jump in real quick and say that first off, like I said, I really appreciate you talking about this. I'm still getting some feedback there. I don't know if you hit that. I think you may have got it. Thanks.
Give me 1 second, because I'm trying to hear you, and the only way I'm trying to turn down the feedback, but I will get, my headphones are right here. I can plug in my headphones, and that should do the trick. Let's see.
No problem. This stuff happens because I know a lot of people don't even use this kind of hangout stuff, so it can get a little crazy. So no worries.
Okay. Now, what did you say?
I was just going to say this happens a lot of the time when I do these live shows, so don't worry, we're okay. We're settling in. No, I'm loving that you're talking about this. So just in case someone joined, too late, this young lady we're talking to has worked in the industry. She's a dancer. She'd done some choreography and worked like in the back of videos and whatnot, and was working with people connected with Drake in the South. And some of the people that were around you are the ones that were talking about some of this occult stuff. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Can you hear me?
Fascinating because, I do. I hear you loud and clear. Okay, so it's fascinating because, this is a subject I love. I worked in Hollywood for years myself, but, I've had a lot of, the longer you're in this kind of stuff, people reach out to you. I've had a lot of people tell me things, and some's been vetted, some hasn't. But the point is, I know this stuff happens, and this is why I talk about it so much. But I love hearing from people like you that have really experienced this in real life. So if you want to go ahead and continue, please go ahead, okay? And it sounds like our sound is all good, too.
Yeah, I just have the feedback going into my headphones instead of you, so and I can hear both of you. So it's great. So yes, so the main owner of the studio, they have this thing with astrology that kills me. And the person at the dance studio that I was working with is connected to the singing studio. It's like one big monopoly type situation. So all those dance shows that you would see online, like on TV, like World of Dance, I was involved. Like I know those people that are in that. And I've seen the auditions. I have friends. Matter of fact, one of the little girls that's dancing with Janet Jackson now, she came from the dance studio that I used to work at. So just
no way. Well, what about Abby Miller? Is she connected with all this too?
I don't know. I can't even comment on her. I cannot. I would not be the least bit surprised, because there was one person. There's this thing called Monsters. There's a dance convention that's called Monsters, and if you see the symbol, it'll probably be very alarming to you. It happens in multiple cities throughout the entire year. So they have this thing called the Choreographer's Cup, and the way that we knew who was going to win was based off this one guy's performance that was completely demonic. Completely, like he was like, I am willing to sell my soul. I am willing to show you this is what I'm talking about. And the choreography wasn't even that great. That's the killer part. Like,
can I jump in here?
Put himself out there, like, okay, here we go. This is what I want to do, and he won. We knew who was going to win, and he's the one that won. So just to digress, KJ, going back to the owner of that the recording studio, he was I was really into numbers myself, and I had to pull back a little bit from that because something I didn't want to get too lost. So I would read. I naturally look at numbers, like do a lot of addition, because I'm also a medical school student right now. So I'm very scientific when it comes to, or analytical with things, but I'm not so ignorant to know that God is God, you know. So I looked at his name and the pattern in this guy's name, and I noticed that he had every number that was connected to his name, and I was like, well, why don't you have, that's unusual. So his mother told me, well, the reason why that is because he's actually a clone. He was not born, he was created. I said, what the hell? What? This cannot be real. Yes,
I love it.
KJ, I kid you not. Like when I was watching videos of your outlook on it, like, and that popped up, I said, this cannot be real. Like, and I said, I'm sure it is. And so they raised him, going to the narcissistic portion of it. He was a male whore. I'm not gonna lie to you. The man flirted with anything that was remotely female. And he did, and they protected him. The music that his son would make, because his son was my producer, was not that good, but they put him on this high pedestal, like, oh, my family is this, my family is that. If you don't like me, if you don't do this, then you're not real. I'm like, and they acted like they were so gangster.
I bet that guy did the rituals. I'm sure he spent time in the lodge, if you know what I'm saying.
And you know what, KJ? They're not even. Or is someone trying to jump in?
No, you're cool. Go ahead.
Did someone comment? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
They did not, like, they're not even that high up on the pedestal, you know, in the hierarchy. This is even on the lower scales of things. Even though they won a Grammy or a couple of Grammys, they work with Bruno Mars, they did all this other stuff. Like, they're not even that high up, but it's still like amazing how no, I think he muted you. I think that's what it is. Right. That's why your mic is out. Yeah. So I don't know. So, but he was so full of himself. They did everything to protect this man. So long story short, I come in there as a ball of light, like just like hey everybody, let's love. I'm an innocent bystander.
They wanted to eat you alive.
I would not do what they wanted me to do. I wouldn't curse in my music. I stood my ground on that. I started to feel really uncomfortable. And I prayed to God. I said, God, I don't know if I should be here, because I did a lot of stuff. I had a lot of professions, KJ. I was a teacher, and I got a phone call. This is when all those shootings were going on with Philando Castillo, that whole week. And I found out one of my students got shot and he was paralyzed. And so I felt I could not be associated with people or be on songs with people that's talking about gun violence. And I'm trying to be a positive influence to the people around me. And I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I can't do this. And so I could tell like there was a shift happening. And so what happened was I ended up getting set up, KJ. I got set up, and so right now I'm just blackballed from the whole music thing just because they didn't want me around, because the wife didn't want me around. They really tried to protect the owner of the studio, the entire family, because they think they're invincible. They think they're so great. They you know how like celebrities, or they make these appearances and they can't stay long because they're so important that, oh, I'm just going to show up just this quick second and I'm going to leave, even though they don't have anywhere to go. Like they were teaching me what to do. Like, you have to appear important or untouchable. You gotta, and I'm like, I'm not that type of person. Like, if I'm really interested in what people have to say. But no, they really protected this man because he was supposed to have been created. He was a clone. He told me a story of how he was abducted late in his life, throughout his entire life. And I've been in their house. Like, I'm looking at things. It's just, it's amazing. I was flabbergasted at the stories that they told me. There was one.
I want to ask real quick. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I want to hear your story too. But I mean, what kind of symbolism was in the house? Was it like a lot of Egyptian stuff, a lot of so-called Illuminati symbols,
Yes. Oh
satanic
my
stuff?
God, so much Egyptian stuff. The Ankh thing. And you know, oh, KJ, this is a killer part. They read the Bible. They
Oh wow,
were
you know, that's really
represent,
interesting.
huh? I'm
I
sorry.
said that's really interesting. I said it's
Yeah,
really interesting because, and it makes sense because these people are the enemy. It sounds like they were, you know, they're not God's kids. Let's say,
they weren't.
they probably don't have Christ. But it's just like how we do on my channel and other people who are trying to raise, you know, consciousness or whatever about what's happening. That, you know, we have to go by their playbook. I just quoted some stuff from the Satanic Bible, or the website, Anton LaVey's website, in my last video. And it's not
Yeah,
because I follow that crap, but it's because it's good to know your enemy, the same way that sports teams learn each other's plays,
exactly.
right? So,
Exactly. So there was not just none of the women there really liked me. Like all the men there were either married or had a girlfriend, and I just went up there just to record my music. I didn't. I'm in my own world, but you know how that goes. If the wife doesn't like you, you're out of here. And this woman, we talked all the time. She called me her daughter. Like they were all looking. I performed with these people. It's crazy how everything flipped. So, what happened? So one day, the girlfriend of my producer, she was the only person that was there that was actually interested in making her relationship with God stronger. So she was telling me a story one day about how her and her boyfriend at the time, because they're not together anymore, because he was very violent. He was very abusive, and he was so little. That's the funny part. Like, I was like, he's violent and small, like Napoleon syndrome. And so he, huh?
no,
Oh
I was
no,
just
I'm
laughing.
hearing
Sorry,
feedback
there's a
too.
delay.
Sorry.
No, you're cool.
And
And also,
so
I was going to ask quickly as you're going along this line of thinking. And I just, you know, I've got all these thoughts with everything you're saying because I love what you're telling me. Did you ever see anything about the hip hop gay rituals or anything like that? So please
yes,
continue.
yeah, they were anti-gay on the surface, but there was they had a cousin who was very rich and did all this stuff, but somebody told me through the grapevine that he was actually gay. And so one day I was looking at his numbers, like, and I noticed that he had no like even numbers that was associated with his name. I was like, do you have problems with women in your life? He was like, yeah, I hate my mom. Like, everybody started laughing. Like, I was just like, because apparently even numbers are supposed to be related to feminine, and he had none. And so, my sister, she knew who he was, and she said, we think that he's gay. It turns out, and he was and this is their family. So this family in particular, they were extremely opposed to homosexuality, but on a level to where it made you question, like, wait, you hate it so much, like you're to a point like you feel like you got to prove something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah. We see that trope a lot in movies. It's the guys who want to beat up the gays wind up being gay, right?
exactly.
So sure, go ahead.
So, well, going back to the girlfriend, so she was telling me a story about how her boyfriend was telling her, like, okay, I want to start she wanted to build her relationship with her boyfriend and make it stronger through God. That's what you're supposed to do. So they were doing Bible study with each other one day. So they were talking about when Jesus was at the well and the woman that came to the well. And so they were reading that, and he was like, oh, the water in the well. Oh, her boyfriend said, oh, that's sperm. And she was like, she said, well, I'm not just going to combat him and just say that's not true. I want you to prove it to me in the scripture. Like, defend yourself using the scripture. Where in the scripture does that say that the water in the well, or the water that Jesus was talking about, is sperm? He said, well, my daddy said that's what that is. So I don't argue with my father. I was like, what? That was his argument, because his father said the water that keeps you from never thirsting again it's actually sperm. So everything that this man said, everybody hung up on. Like, and he was so angry when all she did was ask him to prove it in the scripture where it says that that's sperm, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't.
Yeah,
he got angry. Yeah, he got angry, and he was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. He would tell me stories of how like demons and everything would torment him at night when he was a kid. He left his body all the time. His girlfriend, she told me about it, like, because she'll be laid up with him one night, they'll be sleeping, and he would just get hot and he would just leave his body. But the last story that he told me, the big one, was when he said he went to space or something and saw where he was actually from, and it was from another star. Like, cause he was it was I wish I could go on and I can give you all kinds of details, KJ, but I don't want to hold everyone up. It's just, this family is
yeah. No, that's fine. And if you like, go ahead and start telling us then about the experience you had, because it's a family, again, and for anybody who's just joining us, she's a dancer, it's in choreography. I want to talk about that a little bit too with you in a second, just my own experience and some of that. And she was dealing with basically a narcissistic family. We'll get into that story in a moment. I wanted to just add this in. You may have heard in one of my old shows, I worked out in Hollywood for many years. I worked in reality TV, and one of the shows I worked on was called America's Best Dance Crew. Do you remember that show?
Yes. I do remember that show.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was really fun being there live and stuff and watching it. But so I worked from 9 at night to 9 in the morning, and I stayed in the same hotel that all the dancers stayed in, and they all had like their own, like a room together, right? So I was basically had to keep an eye on them. I was what they call a talent wrangler on a lot of different shows.
Mm-hmm.
In doing that show, the choreographer, the night guy, a few of them would come in and they'd train the kids. He'd come in and have his lunch or whatever, like early in the morning, like 3 in the morning or something, and hang out and talk to me for a while. And this is way before I was awake to stuff the way I am now. And he would tell me about Britney Spears and these weird rituals they used to do before she'd go on stage and right after and stuff. And I had no idea what he was talking about. So that's all. I just wanted to include that. You had me thinking about it. But please go ahead and continue and let us know about the actual experience with the narcissist and how that happened and what it looked like.
Well, the family, I'm so lost in my thoughts now, because I haven't thought about this or spoken about it in so long. Right now all I have is that they said that they were a chosen, they would tell me stories. They were a chosen family. Is he laughing?
I gotta jump in. I gotta jump in here, KJ, because I've
go for
heard
it, man.
this.
Please go for it.
I have heard this story on my own channel so many times over, whether it be actual celebrities, your typical Bible thumpers from whichever religion you want to choose, okay, or just your out and out prepper cults or regular cults or sex cults or religious cults. It's all based on the same thing. Yeah. Worship of them. It isn't about all this study you're having and all this nonsense isn't about a relationship with God or anything spiritual. It's about them. And usually the head narcissist, which I'm gathering in this family is probably the mother, or correct?
The matriarch, not the
matriarch.
You talking about the
top of the narcissistic pyramid is the matriarch.
Yes, hence, it was her.
Hence where you're getting the sexual dysfunction in the males and the unsurety of sexuality. Listen, the discussions you're having about sperm in relation to Jesus, like when you stop and take a step back for a second and like, I was discussing what? But this is what the narcissist does.
Yes.
They gaslight you. And for those of you who you hear the term gaslighting, for those of you who don't know what gaslighting is and why it's so dangerous, it's the most destructive tool the narcissist has. And in simple terms, so everybody can understand what gaslighting is basically when you're trying to get your point across. something you know is factually true, and you're laughed at, you're mocked, you're made to feel crazy over it. And once they can get you trained to be gaslighted, because what you're really doing is denying truth and reality, you're susceptible to anything. It's all about softening you up to bring you under their control and under their power.
Exactly.
So I just had to jump in. So
that's what happened. That's what I started noticing with my producer, which is the son of the owner. He has an older brother that the owner raised, but that was not his biological son. So the main son that they felt like they were going to pass everything down to was the second brother, my producer at the time. And I noticed that he started to get very forceful with me, and I'm a lot older than he is. Like, he was very young, and he started to like, oh, you're going to stay here until 4 o'clock. I'm going to get this finished. I'm like, I do research. I got to work in the morning. Like, I can't stay here till 4 o'clock in the morning every day.
And I'm sure his rage goes from zero to
he was abusive.
Like, and it's even more so because you're a female. In his mind, you're a bitch, and it's this buildup in his head. You got
a nail on the head.
That's
nail on the head.
And what you have to understand here is these people aren't unique. They're not unique. When you're going through it, when you're trapped in the situation under the control of the narcissist, you think nobody in the world will understand. I can't even articulate it enough to explain it to myself rather than make anybody else explain it. And that's the whole point. And you go crazy just trying to get the terms down to put a name to it, to explain it.
All right, exactly. And but yeah, this family, they claimed they were so high and mighty. So when I wouldn't do the things, and I wouldn't give in, like the owner of the studio came at me several times, like in manners where I was uncomfortable. So I would always try to avoid him without being, because I'm like, I'm not about to get in this situation. Like, and I don't know, this is not what this is about to be. So when your wife knows you, wives knows their husbands. And so when she noticed him, or she started feeling insecure, she needed to get me out. They called me a witch. They said I put a spell. He could do no wrong. This man could literally do no wrong. The son could do no wrong. In fact, the messed up part about it is that family, they don't even like each other. But they tried to kill each other. That's the crazy part. Like,
what they've done is, and this is what happens in matriarchal narcissistic cult, like families like this, they turn certain male members into like son husbands. That's like, you're not my son. It's like, you're my son and my husband. You're my sister and my husband. And the men become these unsure about their sexuality, fly off the handle at the drop of a dime. Okay, you challenge especially if you're a female, you challenge their authority, or you even question them. You get the worst vitriol to the point where you're physically scared for your safety.
Exactly. And that's the day I spoke up against when I spoke up against my producer, when he came at me real sideways, that's when everything flipped. And he was ready to get her out of here. No matter how much music I've done, no matter how much I've helped these people and just been chill, like, okay, she's talking back to me, or she's not doing what I want her to do. She's not making the music that I want her to make. She doesn't like me the way I think she should like me. And a lot of this stuff I had to wait until the girlfriend called me and told me everything that had happened once they banned me from the studio, because I was ambushed in that situation.
That's what because they want to catch you off guard. It's a quick ambush, and it comes from multiple sources, and it's to catch you off guard so you won't fight back. And you're saying things like, everything I've done for these people, it's meaningless. You are nothing but a tool to be used by the
Exactly.
narcissist. You are not to fight, and you are not to fight back. You're not allowed to fight back. The rules that apply to them don't apply to you. What do you mean? What do you mean you want to be treated fairly? You want the same. They don't even understand the concept of that, because they've already made themselves into a deity in their own minds and everybody's mind. If you want to play ball with them, you have to buy into this bullshit that they are some kind of deity, connected spiritually and on some level to demons and all this nonsense, and it's all nonsense.
Exactly.
You under
Oh
control.
my God, you're saying exactly how the whole framework was, the entire infrastructure, and everybody who they kicked out. And I noticed that because they had a brother, or it wasn't really their brother. There's the other part of the matriarchal situation. There's a sister. She's the aunt of the owner. So she had a son, but they kicked him out. And they would tell a story like, oh, he's crazy. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that.
And that
turns out,
and there's the word. There's
crazy.
the word, crazy.
Exactly.
And that's what they always try to do. Every narcissist tries to get you labeled as crazy. Why? Because once you're labeled as crazy, nobody has to listen to you.
Exactly.
Ultimate form of gaslighting.
So what you guys may want to watch out for, because they have a TV show that they've been piloting coming out soon. I don't know if it's coming out and I don't know when, but there may be a potential lawsuit because they put something out concerning him and his family, and they can't legally do that. So, and he's been putting all of his ducks in a row. The brother that they call Crazy, and he's waiting. So you guys, I don't know the name of the show, but the stuff that they were telling me about it will reveal so much. And I kid you not, it would not be a waste of your time. Just because you will be able to see it. But he's been working on his stuff, and they don't even know what's coming towards them. There's a whole storm that's coming to wipe that entire ordeal out, that infrastructure. Whew. I'm just happy that I can even say this out, like just get this off of my chest, because and what the messed up part about it is, the dance studio owner that I was telling you about earlier, KJ, is that those were people that she grew up with. And this woman had been my dance teacher since I was like 10 years old. I'm 28 now. And she had a narcissistic streak to her as well, because everybody was either everyone was always out to get her. If you didn't do what she wanted you to do, there's something wrong with you. She was upset with me for even going to do business with this family, because that was the only singing studio that I knew about. She bought in to whatever they were saying because she's been waiting, and she would tell me everything because she's more into the choreography world than I am. She's the one who introduced it to me. Like, the whole dance industry is straight trash. I'm sorry. The whole thing. I watched it happen. I watched it. I watched her try to sell herself into it, and she couldn't get it in because she was blackballed from it. But she is right along with that family.
Yeah, you're making me think about something here. I mean, I'm not proud to admit this, but I'll go ahead and put it out there. But it was a lazy Sunday afternoon, and this was probably a few months ago. And they ran a marathon on some channel of that Abby Lee Miller dance show. What's that called? Do you know what it's called again?
Happily Miller Dance Show. No, I don't.
The Abby Miller Dance reality show, and she's a dance teacher and teaches little kids how to dance.
I don't know that one. That was probably before I really got back into dance.
The point of that is that, so I watched several of them in a row because she's a real bombastic character. She's in prison right now for something. And maybe the people in the chat know the name of the show, but it's Abby Miller's Dance Academy. It's a reality show, and it's called
Yes, I know Abby Miller. Yes, I know her.
That's
okay.
the one.
Okay.
So I was watching a bunch of those episodes, and even with just the way that they were overtly sexualizing the kids in these, and also some of the really creepy occultic dance numbers they would come up with, I mean, really had me even questioning, like, is this lady a witch? What does she know? And even if she's not, she's a pervert. I mean, the way that they treat these children in these dance things. And I'm sure that's kind of what you're getting at. You saw a lot of that as well.
Oh, all the time, especially with working with the young boys. A lot of the young boys we would get, if they weren't like pop lockers, we didn't have a lot of those, that they were very feminized. There was a lot of stuff that I would not want my daughter to do, and I didn't have a place to speak out on it, but I had to go around, do the best that I can to go around it and choreograph things that were more age appropriate. So I had to kind of try to do my best to undo some of the things that they were exposed to. Like there's no limit, there's no boundary set in the dance industry when it comes to what music that they choose, the censorship, the dance style. The whole idea is for the more diverse you are, the more sellable into the industry you are. So whatever you can do to put you out there, that's what they train these kids to do. Like that's what we did at our studio. We train young kids, even though it wasn't so bad. You can tell, like, the whole purpose of her even training the kids was to send them off to LA, was to send them off to New York, more specifically LA. And that's what she's done. And you can just see the transition and the mental toll that it is taking on them. It's a big mess, KJ. And I'm with you on that. Even with Abby, that lady is sick out of her mind. And you see now she's in prison, like you said. So
yep.
she's in I can't, my mind is racing so fast, I can't even get my words out. The stuff that I've seen, the people that I've talked to, I can't even get it out fast enough. So, but I just want to confirm.
I actually saw that firsthand too, KJ, especially with the children and the dancing. As most of my people know, I spent a long time as the director of security for Macy's department store in Herald Square. So I had a lot to do with the Thanksgiving Day parade, where the setups, and I would watch these dance groups where there's young children just being sexual, young boys and girls being sexual. And this is for Macy's. And this is back in the 90s. And I'm saying to the woman in public relations, I'm like, is this really what we're putting out there?
Mm-hmm.
And they acted like there was something wrong with me. And I'm like, you know what?
Because it's the norm.
That boy can't be more than 7 years old, and you're telling him to act to bend like a girl. Like what is that? Those are the words coming out of your mouth. Like,
and it's interesting, you were seeing the seeds back then, and now we've got. I put this in a video recently, but there's a company selling a thing called baby pumps, and it's high heels for babies. It's disgusting. And it's just an example. We had Lactatia, the 8-year-old transsexual. Recently got an award, right? And it's a little 8-year-old boy that's trying to transition over to a girl, and this is becoming quickly the new norm, and so we've already seen the seeds planted. Now we see the flowers, coming out, and scary, but that's what's going on. Go ahead.
That's all I got, KJ. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot more. I'm tapped out at this point, and I'm not really tapped out, but I don't want to. I want other people to be able to tell their stories, and you got an alien family that came from clones that gave birth to themselves and came from Nefertiti with the green. They say you can tell from the green pinky, and they came from the water. The devil child is spawned in them, and there's outer body experiences that go beyond the next round. Yeah. And that's the reason why I feel like they're able to. Oh, I'm sorry. That's why they feel like they're so much higher than any family. Like the son, the heir that's supposed to follow the current owner. He told me everything that he would experience because I wasn't afraid of it. And one dream that he had, or one vision, as he calls it, that he had, was that, oh, God is going to come through and wipe this whole thing out. We're going to be the only family to survive it, and we're going to get out. Yeah, like we're the best family. We're this, that, and the other. Can't nobody touch us. This is how he portrayed himself. And so even though, and when he would be called out, like, he didn't have anything to back it up. They never had anything to back it up, like, ever.
Well, Tinchy, thanks for sharing that. And as you said, you know, I didn't even realize we've done like 40 minutes already. I saw some people commenting like, you know, no, it was great. And this is what people don't get about, some people don't about my show. You'll see a few people in the comment, you know, why are they just talking so much? It's like, well, because look, man, I mean, you know, I do shows where it's just me for hours on end sometimes. And I love having these shows where we can listen to the actual people, and I gain a lot. So I'm being a good host by letting people dialogue. You know, that's what I believe in doing. And I'm listening to their stories. So 98% of the people out there get that. And I think they appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Fascinating stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely interesting. And I hope you got something out of it from my end.
Absolutely. All confirmation, everything. I've been waiting to get this story out to people who can actually use it and not just throw it to the side and like, oh, that's so interesting. No, this is actual spiritual warfare. And I'm just happy that I was able to, the one good thing that came out of that was the fact that when I asked God to get me out of there, if he wanted me there, he literally snatched me out along with the girlfriend who was really trying to find her way back to Jesus and wanted to know him, because the boyfriend tried to kill her. Literally tried to kill her.
Intense.
So yes, that should be, and you know what? So that should be your overall lesson in all this. All this Bible study, all this bullshit, all this, and what did the relationship with God come down to? You and God having a personal conversation.
It has to be.
Always keep it, and that's the way it always is.
Mm-hmm.
So people who need to go to places to be seen praying or their spirit, you're doing it wrong. That's not what it's about. It's about you and God, and you can do that anytime you want.
I mean, well, some people do need intercession, but you know, I don't like, if some people do need help, because she needed help. She needed somebody to commune with, and I was that person. And it's okay to be used by God. If somebody needs to be a conduit, then by all means, be the conduit to get.
No, I didn't say, but I'm not saying Bible study is bullshit. Studying the Bible. No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking about people who need to be seen and thumping their Bible.
Ah, okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm meaning.
All right, you break it up, and I'm just kidding. No, I got it. And I can see it was a misunderstanding, but Tinchy, hey, thank you. We're going to go ahead and I guess move on to the next one. But man, thanks again, and really thanks for being a friend for so long online with me. Okay.
No problem. Have a good day, you guys. I'll be in the chat.
See you later. Okay. Bye. That was nice. It was nice meeting Tinchy. Armando, you're next in the list. Ollie's just going to be hanging out with me and doing what he did last time, just kind of jumping in, and then April, we'll get to you. Thanks for being here too. Armando, all you got to do is unmute yourself at the top of that Google screen, go up to the microphone, and you'll click it. Now.
I'm ready. Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Nice. Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
No, man, it's such a pleasure, like always. Last time we couldn't.
So, do you have an experience you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, about the narcissist. I'm just gonna start saying that the narcissist in my life, it's my brother. I only have one brother. So now he's 40 years old. I'm 25. And I don't know, the thing about narcissistic people, you can't, like the narcissist said, you can't argue with them. You can't start a fight with them. You can't come to an agreement with them because they are so close to themselves. Like you can play in the same game with them. Like narcissist said, things that made the I don't know, the way of living with my brother so difficult, because you know, when you live with a narcissist, they see you as a tool. They don't see you as a person. That's absolutely true. I mean, they just want you to meet their endings, not to join the ride along with you. So having a brother that is like this, I don't know, it has been really difficult.
What are
Also,
some
they have a lot
examples of I'm sorry, what are some examples growing up with him? I know there's a big age gap, but what are some examples of ways that maybe he abused you, like narcissistic abuse, and how old were you when you finally realized kind of what you might be dealing with? Go ahead.
Like when I was, I don't know, 15 years old, that's when you start to see things a little bit more widely. And one of the things that really resembles that way of being is it is like narcissistic people are so good at convincing people, even if all they have are lies, you know. They are so good at manipulating the public opinion. I don't know. They are really smart people, really smart people. That's why it's so dangerous to be against one or to live with one. I mean, for me,
Armando. You ever see the movie? You ever see the Terminator? The movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember in the first one where Kyle Reese says you can't argue with it, you can't reason with it, it doesn't feel empathy, remorse, and it will not stop until you're dead. That is the narcissist.
Whoa.
What it will not stop doing is to get their own way. That is all the narcissist is programmed to do. Everything in their life is programmed for them to get their own way. Every conversation they have with other people, they are planting seeds that can be activated at any given time for them to say, you know, hey, you remember 3 years ago?
Yeah, that's right, you know.
Remember 3 years ago when I mentioned that Armando did so-and-so? Well, you know what he did? And then boom, and then that's how they get
Yeah.
Okay? It never stops.
One thing my mother's...
Go ahead.
Absolutely true. Really nice, man. One thing my mother said to him, such a sad fact that he could not let go about anything. Like when she specifically told him, like, when your brother is 70 years old, you're gonna tell him, exactly. I don't know. What confuses me about it, besides he being my brother, sometimes he can appear as someone who needs care, who needs to speak with us, human contact with his family or so, but the next moment he's all over like, and you know, you couldn't have said it better.
Listen, if he was an asshole 100% of the time, nobody'd go near him.
Yeah.
He needs to, that's called love bombing. Okay? He gives you a little love bombing and you hope that's how it's going to be. And then he rips it away as fast as he gave it to you. To keep you just as off balance and then wondering, what did I do wrong? What have I done? They train you to take blame for your own abuse.
Whoa, that's absolutely true. Oh my God. True.
The problem is with these type of people, is they don't ever change. They can't change.
A mistake from my part when dealing with him, I don't know, instead of having small confrontations about what he was doing, no, I don't like this, man, and this was bad, and how could you do this, or etc. Fall inside of me. I never complained. Mostly because I didn't want to see my mother sad because I was fighting with my brother. That was one thing that kept me under the lines. It's a really bad tactic to go into. You have to speak to them in the moment. You have to, I mean, you can't. It came out very, very bad because I had never confronted him. But when I did, I just exploded and got angry and rambled, and it was. You can let these people.
Here's the problem. Here's the
tyrants.
problem.
Yeah.
No. Here's the problem. That you have I have, and everybody else who's been abused by narcissists have. And I'm somebody, and understand something, I'm somebody who spent 20 years interrogating people, who spent 20 years talking confessions out of people to get them to sign confessions when times I had no evidence, I just bullshitted. That's how good I am. Yet, my narcissistic abusers could lie to my face over and over and over again, and I'd fall for it every fucking time. Do you know why? Because when you're emotionally involved, your narcissistic abuser will get you every time, because they have the ability to gaslight you. They spent decades abusing you, decades breaking you down. You're not just going to flip a switch and be able to pour this out and be able to get your point across. You've been conditioned since birth to accept their abuse. So don't feel bad. And that's the point, for you to get frustrated when you're trying to get your point across and make your feelings heard, and you're being laughed at and being told you're overreacting, or you're just crazy, or they just lie to you about things that you know are factually true, and you start thinking, maybe I'm crazy. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. And that's the Terminator. That's the machine Terminator narcissist. The only, and I tell people on my channel the same thing from another movie. The only way you win with a narcissist, and this is from the movie War Games, the only way you win is not to play. And when I say not to play, that means when somebody's a toxic narcissist, you cut them out, you go no contact, and you don't look back. Because with no contact comes clarity. You will never heal. You will never heal with that cancer still inside you. It's like trying to get over cancer and doing nothing about it.
Whoa.
Whoa. That's a good point, Ollie.
Some heavy words right there, man. Super fun. Come on.
And here's the other thing you got to keep in, because this is your brother, and most of our abusers are family members. And you're going to hear this thing about blood being thicker than water and family is family. Let me tell you something. Every organism on this planet can procreate and pop out an offspring. That's not what makes family. Behavior makes family. And so many of us get caught up in family abuse because for some reason there's DNA or their family, and that's just nonsense. Nobody is entitled to abuse you, blood relative or not.
Absolutely true. I mean, you gotta pick up your family, not by DNA, but by choice. That's
Armando,
absolutely true, man. I love the way you speak.
Armando, I just wanted to ask, are you the only one in the family that sees your brother for what he really is, or does he have everyone else fooled? Is it a split?
No, actually, we all, my father, my mother, we all see him as who he is. General conception on my mother with him goes by one, because I'm not like him, so I have the moral or fraternal responsibility to help him. Far he goes, limit, and like the narcissist said, lose those people. You don't have to play with them in order to not fall for them.
Are you still helping him now?
In a way, I help him as much as he lets me. We don't have much contact these days. It turns out that narcissistic personality, right about 10 minutes we have encountered each other. Very difficult to help him. But I know that since we fought, away from the house because he couldn't stand me one more day, no? He's living on his own, and at his 40 years, I understand it's kind of difficult to struggle if you haven't planned well alone or made a future plan, I don't know. But I somehow have the sensibility that he's just a little bit by being all by himself. Now to do everything for his son. There is no mother to make him food. I don't know. It's kind of hard to get to him. Sees him as he is.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to add about this situation? And Ollie, if you wanted to maybe answer any of his questions or anything. Do you have any questions about the narcissistic mind? Again, Ollie is a really good resource. And like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, I met him through YouTube after I had a hardcore narcissist experience and started actually researching it. And I suddenly realized, wow, I've been around these kinds of people my whole life. I just didn't know what to call them. I knew to stay away from them, you know. So Ollie's a great resource because of his background. And at the end of the show, we'll talk just with Ollie. I want to welcome Kelly and also April. April, you'll be next, then we'll get to Kelly. So go ahead, man, please.
Just one thing to add, I believe because I'm sorry, man. What's your channel name? The Narcissistic. I can see the whole name. That's why I can.
Oh, it's the Narcissistic Resistance, or you could just put in
right.
Yeah, or you could just put in Ollie Matthews with 1 T. Either one pulls up my channel.
Well, just one thing to add. I don't know what you think, guys, but all of the narcissistic behavior on the predictive programming, on the conditioning of people, I don't know that my brother is like he is, because all the things that he grew up with on the TV, on the society, on visions on that time, really conditioning on people to be selfish, right? To be really bad things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the selfie generation, and you know, I'll add my 2 cents, then I'll let Ollie add his, and we may all have different views and whatnot. And that's fine, but I need to add this in. But like you were saying with the programming, and I cover that a lot on my channel too. But that's why my personal opinion is, and this goes beyond religion or denominations, but I think it's important to have truth in you, and truth. I believe that's you accepting Christ as your Savior, following the ways of Christ, and having a relationship with God, and that's my belief. I don't force everyone else to believe that, but I believe that's so important now because of all this programming, and now the millennials, we're seeing the product of all this horrible programming for a decade. So that's my thing. But Ollie, go ahead.
Yeah, like this is something I tackle on my channel as well, and this is my opinion. Narcissism falls in the cluster B of personality disorders. Narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, in my opinion, the most dangerous, and histrionic personality disorder. And in my opinion, the media, society, it's been a societal push towards personality disorders starting in the late 50s and 60s, primarily using the baby boomer generation, probably the most narcissistic generation, that in I'd say the last century. And if you look in what's going on in media, in society, it's all gaslighting. You read old books like Rules for Radicals, and it is a demon's list for narcissistic tactics and gaslighting. So we're seeing so much of it because, in my opinion, society's been designed like that for a purpose, and it's not good, any of it.
Cool, thanks, Ollie. So, man, did you want to add anything before you go? Any other questions or anything?
No, man, and you guys really good, so you should go to the next person. But thank you all, and I mean, thank you, the Narcissistic Resistance. That was helpful talk, man. Sorry.
glad it helped, man.
Hey, Armando, thanks for joining us, man. It was a pleasure. We'll do it again sometime, okay? Have a good evening.
Have a good one. Yeah. Have a good one, Armando. Thanks.
Bye-bye. All right, man, it was nice talking to Armando, and thanks again, Ollie, for your input. Looks like April's up now. April has been a friend of mine on YouTube forever, so it's nice to chat with you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Thanks. How's everything going? How's life?
It's all right. Thanks for asking.
Sure. So go ahead and tell us about your experience or anything else you wanted to talk about.
Well, I guess I'm kind of a little nervous here, but anyways,
Oh, don't be. And thank you for being a friend for so many years, by the way. I always see you on there, so thanks. But don't be nervous. We're just chatting, and we're not in a rush. Kelly's next. We'll talk to Ollie. If someone else jumps in, maybe we'll talk with them for a while too. We'll just kind of play it by ear. But go ahead.
Thanks. Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk about my daughter's father, who I met, I guess, around 12 years ago. And when we first met, it was just like a fairy tale. He just like wined and dined me. I mean, it was like something I never expected would ever happen. And it was just wonderful. And then after maybe a couple weeks, he like cracked or something. Something about him was just off. And I was trying to see the good in him, I was trying to look past some things, and like I wasn't really tuned into my red flags really, but I'll tell you what, this guy, he totally like got me to tune into that. It's just like, I don't know, it's like a life-changing experience. But this is in California. Marijuana industry. It was okay, it was legal to buy.
Oh, hey, April, you're cutting out just a little bit here and there. I just want to let you know because I want to be able to hear you. But I think you had said that this guy you were dating worked for the marijuana industry or something, and that's where you started cutting out. So go ahead. Still kind of cutting out a little bit. We can't hear you. And you may just go ahead and check your plugs and check your your headphones or whatever. But there you go. You're back.
Me?
I'm hearing you a little bit. It just keeps going in and out now. I'm not sure. Just kind of check your stuff there. And that's okay. This happens. I mean, it happens. I've been doing these Hangouts for like almost 2 years, and I still have problems on my end sometimes. So hang tight, folks. We'll figure this out. This happens sometime. My last show didn't even start for the first 20 minutes. So this is what we deal with Google and these Hangouts. But yeah, I still can't hear you. Go ahead and try again if you like.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, you can hear me?
So he worked. Yeah, I can hear you now. Really good. So he worked for the marijuana industry, I think you said, and then it cut out. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was pretty dumb to just like not really think about, getting myself involved. And next thing you know, I became pregnant. It was fairly quick too. And we decided to go ahead and have the baby. And then after that, things just turned really bad. I moved in with him, and he pretty much started like playing these mind games with me, and would just like totally like make me try to believe that the sky was green or whatever. And I just was trying to, make sense of it all and trying to, I don't know, just trying to make things, run smoothly. And I guess I took it all upon myself to do that. And I could never please him. I could never do anything right. I felt like I was, like he was my dad or something. And I shouldn't have stayed with him. But then I was easily persuaded. And so anyways, there were a lot of times when I would have to get a weekly hotel and move all my stuff to this weekly hotel, call a cab and move all my stuff there. And then like he would show up at my work, a week later and, plead with me and tell me things are going to change. And I told him I didn't want to raise a baby with him working in this industry. And he promised me that he would sell his industry, his business, and just hoping that we could have a normal life. And so, of course, that didn't happen. And there was, like, for instance, there was this one time, I'll tell you, like, I'll give you an example of.
Go ahead, and while you're going to give us the example, I'll catch up with anybody that may have just kind of jumped in. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So you're with this guy for a few weeks. Everything was great. After a few weeks, you started seeing the mask drop and what he really was. But then around that time, conception, you got pregnant, and now basically you have a child with this narcissist. Is that kind of where we're at?
Yeah, pretty much. So I fled. I left him behind. I had to. I had to make that tough decision to leave California, and I came back to my hometown of Atlanta to live with my mom, and that's where I had the child. And it turned out, like, a couple weeks later, after I had left him, our home was raided. So I felt like, yeah, I did the right thing. That was confirmation that I made the right choice. But of course, there's still, parts of me that are like, oh my God, what if I'm wrong? I shouldn't have, what about my daughter? She deserves to have a father. Maybe I'm wrong about him. I don't know. Am I doing the right thing? And it just sucks because, it's 11 years and I'm still going back and forth. And there was a time that I even moved back to California to try to let my daughter be near her father. But after 2 weeks of being back, he was screwing around with my head again, like playing mind games. And it was just horrible. So I had to, like, take my kids and come back home, back to Atlanta, across the country. And so I had no contact with him for about a year. And then somehow, I just let him back in.
Well, they're. I mean, obviously, they're usually very charming and typically very attractive. That seems to be the majority, at least what I've seen of the studies or whatever. But and Ollie may be able to correct me on that. But they're also they can seduce. They're good seducers, and I'm sure this guy just figured out a way to weasel back into your life, and it was all good at the beginning again, just like in the beginning, right? And then all of a sudden the mask drops again, and you realize what you fell for. Is that kind of the cycle?
Well, kind of, but this time I wasn't with him to be romantic. I was without a job for a couple of years, and he offered me a job at a legit business this time. And I figured, oh yeah, he's in prison. He had time to chill out. He doesn't have the stress of this business on him. I don't know. He said he was taking yoga.
All right. Let me jump in here. Let me stop you. Let me ask you, April, what is it about your past that led you to put up with this bullshit from this guy?
Well, I didn't, my upbringing was kind of crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. This doesn't happen in a bubble. Now, here's the problem here's a mistake that a lot of us make. The incident or the narcissist that makes us realize is the problem isn't the first one in your life and isn't even your real problem ahead of you. What your issue is, why did you end up with him in the first place? And you already said it.
Yeah.
It's how you were raised.
I've done a lot of soul searching, 11 years ago. I mean, this has happened like 12 years ago. And
because if you don't get to who broke you, you are going to bring this guy, whether it's this actual physical guy or just another clone of him, into your life repeatedly. I'm sure he probably wasn't the first one like this, was he?
Yeah, I want to ask on that point, April, how has that been? As you said, this happened a long time ago with this guy. You figured out the only way to deal with a narcissist is no contact. You got that. But have you found yourself pulling these other same kinds of men into your life, or what's that experience been like for you?
Well, I thought that I was like awake and aware, but I'm still not sure. Like, I keep thinking I'm meeting good guys, and then they end up, I'm just not.
You might as well go out, April. You might as well go out with a sign on your head, say, "If you're a narcissist, abuse me. I'll take it."
No way.
Until you get to the point of realizing why you're on the pattern of thinking you are, that will continue. That can continue to happen.
Well, I'm probably better off single anyways. Like, my kids need me. I don't need some man like trying to screw with me. You know, they deserve all my time and attention. And like, I do have nice guys, you know. I have gone on a few dates and they've been nice, but I'm just better off focusing on my children.
You're better off focusing on you. Okay, focusing on your children. And of course, your children need to be focused on, no neglect towards them whatsoever. You need to focus on April, because that's the thing you've never allowed yourself to do. That's why you keep moving, you put yourself in a position where you would keep moving out into a hotel and back, and then to Atlanta and back after a guy's been raided and been to prison and back. Because you haven't worked on April.
I wish I could just keep him out of my life, but I don't know what to do about my daughter. And I was dumb enough to start a child support case against him. And like, now I just want to, like, I don't know what to do. Like, maybe I need to cancel it. And like, I worry, like, is he going to come out here and kill us because he doesn't want to pay child support? Like, I don't know what to do.
It could, listen, I'm not going to blow smoke, but they don't like it. And again, any type of engagement with the narcissist is carrying it on. What you have to ask yourself is it worth it? Do you need it? And why are you really, if you need the money, of course, he should absolutely take care of his child. Absolutely. But if it's to the point where you're putting your child and yourself at risk, is it worth it?
No, it's not. It's not.
I mean, would you be better? Now, that's a question only you can answer. I'm not saying, oh, fuck that. I can't answer that for you. But if you're already telling me it, did you only file the support to maybe hope for in the future he'll change? Was that in the back of your mind somewhere?
No, he's not going to change. I just need the freaking money. And I think my daughter deserves, because like right now I'm jobless. I'm living with my mom.
Right.
He deserves some freaking good sneakers or whatever, you know, and he can afford it. And you know, he should damn well pay for it.
I agree.
Man, that's a tough spot to be in. What would you tell her, Ollie? I mean, like she said, I mean, you know, thanks for sharing that. There's a lot. I mean, I told you guys I had my financial issues too, and we all have these experiences lately. For a lot of people, it's happening all across the nation, really the world. So thanks for sharing that. But you know, you're stuck, man. And that's, like you said, you've got your child, you're living with your mom. It's hard making money right now. This guy's got the money, and that sucks that he's got that over you. Ollie, what are your thoughts on that for her?
You know, it's, you know, you're dealing with, now you're in Georgia, he's in California. You're dealing with multi-state child support orders. You're putting yourself into a world of hurt. And yeah, your daughter deserves the money. Has he been paying it? Well, that's first of all. Where does the order stand right now?
He's been avoiding the child support order, and you know, sometimes he does send me like, you know, $200 a month. And so I was dumb enough to ask him, because like I really needed some help, and I said, hey, would you mind sending me some money? And he's like, well, you need to sign a custody thing with me to, you know, let her come over, you know, 3,000 miles away. I'm like, hell no, I'm not sending her 3,000 miles away. I don't trust you. I just, you know, I should probably just cancel the child support order, put a fucking I'm sorry, excuse me.
Well, here's the thing, okay? You can't say I'm going to deny you seeing your child. Like, you can't just, as the father, he has a right to see the child.
He wasn't there when she was born. He's only seen her like a handful of times.
I understand all that, but legally, he still has as the father. He
Not really. I have sole custody, you know. He wants to take me to court. He's trying to threaten me, like, oh, you're gonna have to spend all this money on court. I'm like, no, I have all rights. And then he's like trying to guilt trip me, saying, well, what about your daughter? And I was like, I mean, my daughter, you know, she has rights. And I'm like, she doesn't want to do that either. And then he tries to, like, you know,
How old's your daughter?
11.
Okay. And what's her opinion on the matter?
Well, I mean, she would, you know, she says she loves him, but I mean, of course she wants her father. She wants a father. She deserves a father. She deserves a positive role model, you know? And I already like put her through a bunch of crap because, you know, I had met this other guy, my son's father. Yep, I'm one of those who freaking, he moved in, told her, you know, was going to adopt her. We got pregnant. You know, we were engaged, whatever, we got pregnant. And then he left. He abandoned us. So that's why I had to move in with my mom. So, and then that's when her father was all like, oh yeah, oh, you poor thing, that's such a travesty. You know, why don't you, I have a job for you. Come on, I'll pick you up, you know, just like, ugh, it's stupid. I need to freaking get a job and be independent and just cut both men out of my life because they both suck. Sorry.
No, you will too. I love when you said that. I just felt like I needed to tell you, you will. You're going to get your life on track. I see it. I feel it. You'll be fine. Okay. Is everything you're saying, you already see the truth. You realize the abuse from these jerks. You're going to be okay. But please continue. Go ahead.
Well, anyways, you know, thank you for letting me vent. And, you know, it's just, yes, people are saying like, you know, I mean, I love my father, but it was kind of like my upbringing wasn't all that great. And, you know, I love him, but I don't think that he prepared me to seek out you know, the type of man who I deserve.
It sounds like you answered your own. Yeah. I mean, that's a great self-diagnosis, I think, right there, you know. And no, I appreciate you coming on and sharing all this as well. I mean, I don't want to rush you off. If there's anything else you wanted to cover, I definitely wanted Ollie to maybe give you some words of wisdom on your situation as well.
She just touched on what I was getting at with what started this all off, and it's her relationship with her dad.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And, you know, I think, you know, some of this is you projecting your own issues with your own father, and it's haunting you to this day.
Yeah.
It's haunting you to this day, and it's affecting your relationship with men, how you're up raising your own daughter. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's not. You have to go down this rabbit hole with your dad. And
well, I mean, I already know it. I mean, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I already know.
Do you? I mean, what I tell people is you have to get to the moment you were broken. You have to understand that moment, because that's the moment it all started. That's the moment you started believing somehow you're the problem. And if you get back to that moment and you can understand what really happened, and you can remind yourself and realize you're not the problem, and you can start moving forward and having healthier relationships with yourself mostly, and then other people. But, you know, you have to at least get understanding of your relationship with your dad, of why you feel about yourself the way you do, you know, because a lot of this isn't, we all have this, is major self-confidence and major self-esteem issues. Okay, is fear of rejection, of being abused by the people we felt who were supposed to be the ones that guided us and be the ones that never hurt us. And it's just damaging, and it follows us for the rest of our lives until we can figure out, you know what, this was the moment this happened and you were wrong. And this is what really happened. And this is why I've made the decisions I've been making for however many years, however many decades, that
Yeah,
it's not me.
I already kind of came at him about that.
It's not about coming at him. It's about understanding it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because most of the time the narcissist is never going to allocute, is never going to admit what they did. This understanding is for us. It's for you. It's for you to understand, not for them. They'll never understand.
Well, thanks, Ollie. Thanks for that. And April, I hope some of that helped.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for, appreciate it.
No, hey, I really do. Like, I love doing these shows where I get to talk to the people and I get to hear your stories. And I know that all of these stories you guys are sharing tonight, it's going to help somebody out there, you know? So thank you again for sharing and more importantly, for being a friend so long on here.
Yeah, and I hope I do help people.
I know you will. That's why we do this. That's why I do this kind of stuff, because we need to hear from each other. We don't need to see it on a movie or a TV show or, you know, whatever. We need to hear it out of the mouths of our fellow friends out there, you know. So thank you so much. And we'll do it again sometime, okay?
All right. Well, thank you. Much love.
Take care, April.
All right. See you.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, man. Well, it was pleasant as well. Loved it. April's been a good friend for years on YouTube, man. And there's a lot of you out there. I've just known I see your names and your pictures and stuff. So thanks. So it looks like we got next on the line. I need to try to maybe unmute this young lady. This is Kelly. So Kelly, if you like, you can look at the top of the Google screen. You should be able to click your microphone and it'll unmute you.
There, how's that? Yeah.
That's 100%.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. You sound great. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man. I love doing this and talking to you guys. Thanks for deciding to come on here and share your experience tonight with everybody. And just thanks for joining. And I appreciate you.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy being here. I'm a little nervous. I got stage fright all of a sudden.
a lot of people say that, you know. No worries. At least, you know, you're off camera, which is good. And, you know, we're all just chilling here and chatting. If you look at the chat room while we're talking, you'll see we've got a great community there. And people are you know, they're cool and they're helpful and, you know, they're supportive. So please just feel free to relax, grab your favorite drink, whatever it takes, and just, you know, talk to us.
Okay. All right. Well, my incident started 2 years ago. And it started with my son, who was 21 at the time, and his girlfriend, and they both had a drug addiction. She ended up overdosing and died, and he was held accountable, and he is sitting in prison today. After all that, me and her family were kind of on talking terms, not friends, but, you know, we got along. And even afterwards, they realized, you know, at first it appeared that they realized, you know, this was her own doing. And, you know, and they didn't blame my son. I knew they were both a part of this. They both made wrong decisions. And so, of course, child custody and who was going to get, you know, who was going to take them came into play. And from that point on, you know, we decided things got really ugly. It really did at that point, and their true colors came out. And so we were going to have to fight for them in court because we knew what their family was like. And we knew from past stories that they weren't very, I don't think they were good enough to be raising a child, much less taking care of their own children. So we were dealing with
So you were dealing with a family of narcissists, it sounds like?
a whole family. So we were dealing with child custody court and my son's court. And this is all at the same time. And they turned on us just like that. And, you know, to our face, they would lie to us. They loved us. They cared about us, this and that. They knew, you know, that it wasn't my son's fault. You know, and they wanted me to sign a false document to present to the court for the child custody to where we could share custody. But it's kind of hard to explain. The one that I was supposedly going to share custody with was her mother, but she was not going to have him. Her daughter was going to have him. And it just became very confusing. I know this is confusing to people listening in, but that's just their mindset. That's how they were.
No, it's okay. I mean, you know, and if anybody is just joining, you know, Kelly's telling us her experience about custody of a child, and it was her family basically battling a family of narcissists. How long did it take you to see their masks drop? I mean, I'm guessing in the beginning you thought they were just lovely people, right?
They were very lovely. Too lovely. It did.
That's how
It
they
took.
pull you in.
Yeah, within a couple of months, about the time they wanted me to sign the false document and I refused to, that's when things got really ugly. Their mask dropped. They were just lying to our face. They would lie to the judge, this and that. It got to a point.
Have they launched any attacks on you or anything?
As a physical attacks, yes. Mental
Well,
attacks.
physical, online harassment. I mean, anything like that. Who knows what these people are capable of, right? But go ahead.
The online harassment was nonstop. And they would do it through my son's Facebook account because they didn't have access to my account. Because I blocked every one of them, but they would do it through his. And I mean, just, it got really ugly. It was, you know, them turning up people against us, making threats towards my son that if he didn't get convicted, they were going to murder him. I mean,
and that's the kind of stuff where if you're a decent human being, which it sounds like you are, you know, and you start seeing this behavior, it's so shocking, right? Because I mean, you don't even know what the first thing to do against something like that. I mean, I seen it too. I seen Crazy Town in someone's eyes. You know, my narcissist experience, a monster. You know, I mean, just something that just it freaked me out. But go ahead.
Well, and the worst part was they thought they were above the law, and I really do think in their head that this, because we live, it's not a big city, but it's kind of just a mid-sized city, and you know, and so it's not hard to know like certain groups, and she knew a lot of the police around here, and so there were things that she did get away with, and it was obvious because I ran a background check on her, and I saw her record, and there's no way she should have gotten away with a lot of the stuff that she did, but she got away with like probation and stuff. And so in her eyes, she was above the law. And so, and that's how it felt too. I think that's how mentally she got to me a lot of the ways, because I felt like I couldn't turn her in for anything. Who did I have backing me? You know, the police had my son's phone, and when they released it to her, not me. You know, and this is after court and everything, when they were releasing his property. She asked, the detective was her friend, and she asked him for the phone, and he gave it to her. She has that phone to this day. You know, I've never gotten that phone. I've never got to see what was in it or anything, you know. And it's just, that was ongoing. I mean, just I think it was more of a mental attack, you know, and it's kind of like being in an abused relationship, and they're constantly just downing you and putting fear in you and making you think that you can't do this or you can't do that because there's nothing you can do. We're above the law, you know. I mean, it was just that mentality of it all. Plus going through depression and all the courts and, you know, waking up every day and just going on with life, you know, not really there, just going through the motions.
Man, well, Ollie, do you have anything?
Well, I mean, I've heard stories like this as well, and you have to understand what this woman's motivation is. You know, it's not about the grandchild. It's not about your son. It's not about revenge. It's about them projecting blame off of themselves for their daughter's behavior. That's what it's all about. So they will do and say whatever they need to do to not have to look in the mirror at themselves as to their own hand in the death of their daughter. That's what this all is. It's all it is.
Yeah. I know that.
Your son's alive, their daughter is not.
Exactly.
They don't want to have to deal with the consequences. They know they're responsible for their daughter's behavior. Stuff doesn't happen.
And she just recently came to me and was like, you know, being really nice. And I know it's because she wants something from me at the moment, and that's how she works. And basically, she's trying to help me to, or trying to get me to help her in
Do you know
opening
what?
up a case against.
Do you know what
Go ahead.
terrifies these people more than anything?
What?
Exposure.
Yeah,
All these threats is to scare you into silence.
I know.
They project, their tactics are a projection of what they don't want you to do.
You're right. You're right.
Do you understand? Because you sounds like you've already done the background checks on these people. Sounds like you can destroy them in the eyes of public opinion just by posting the truth.
I could, and there was a lot of times I could have opened my mouth, you know, but I was dealing with so much, and I just felt this, like, talk about spiritual warfare. I mean, I was down to my lowest at that moment, and
If you had to do it all over again, would you have kept your mouth shut?
I know people aren't going to understand this, but yes, because, you know, during this whole time, all I could do was pray. That's the only thing I had was prayer every day.
And did it help you in any way? Was the outcome any different?
Yeah, my relationship with God strengthened. I think if I had retaliated, it would have been an ongoing thing. But by, you know, just turning the other cheek and walking away, I think over time it settled down.
Well, what happened with your grandchild?
I want to jump in real quick here. I like what you're saying, Kelly, because I see both sides of that too. I've done a lot of turning the other cheek in my life, but then there have been times where you get put up so far against a wall, and the force you're up against, they won't stop. That, you know, sometimes you got to put your foot down, and even that's been tough for me because I'm so easygoing about stuff. But you know, I've found in my life that the times I put my foot down, it ends. You know, so sometimes it's okay to maybe even pray about these things and say, look, you know, Lord, I want to fight these people with the truth. You know, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not, you know, I just want to put the truth out, you know, and see how you feel about it, and then do it, you know, because I tell you, I've done it and it works. And it sucks because you're a good lady, I can tell, and I'm a good guy, and you know, but we try to turn the other cheek, and the world we're in, man, like I said, we're surrounded by these creatures, you know, I call them these psychopaths and narcissists. So sometimes we got to kick back a little bit, you know. Go ahead.
She's using the wrong term, KJ. This is not retaliation. Retaliation is getting back at someone.
Right. Yeah, I did.
You're not getting back at her. You're setting the record straight. That's not retaliation. That's righteous. That's something you have every right to do. That's something even God wants you to do, to set the record straight. The last thing God wants you to do is, you turn the other cheek when it needs be, but there's a time to fight for yourself and your family as well.
Yeah, well said.
What was the disposition of your grandchild? Has that been decided yet?
Oh my gosh, that is it's like a soap opera, serious. When I tell this part of it, everybody's just going to be like, what? So we went to the court, or the judge was about to make a decision, and we felt that he was going to rule in our favor. Up until that point, we had split custody. But the judge specified that he wanted a stable home for this child. The last day of court, where he was going to make his decision, the family walked in with another man who said, "This is my child. I am the father." They already had a blood test done behind our back without the courts, and it came back 98% positive. The judge made us all go down there and have another blood test done, and one done on my son, who was in jail at the time, and it did come back that my son was not the father. And so not only I lost my, what I considered my daughter-in-law because she lived with me, I lost my son and I lost my grandson, all in 3 months.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
But it's okay, it made me stronger. And I don't want pity. I don't want this and that.
Cool, I like that.
Yeah,
I have a relationship with the natural father of him, and I do still see him and give him gifts, and hang out with him. My son's doing good. Had he not been in jail, I think he would have killed himself because he was that depressed. So I'm thankful he was there, and he's bettering himself now. He's doing good. His relationship with God is strengthening, all the time. And so you have to look at the good in it. And so in a way, I'm thankful for everything that happened, but in a way, I wish it could have happened a different way.
I
Consider
appreciate
yourself,
your strength, and that's some good stuff right there. You are tough. Go ahead, Ollie, please.
I would also. It's very unfortunate that your son was addicted to drugs and ended up in jail. However, consider it a gift and a blessing that you found out the truth when you did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because your son, I mean, he will get out of jail, but he could have been dragged on for years and years and years with these demons.
I agree. You're right.
The hell that these people are. And listen, they're not. They may be done with you, and you got off very lucky. And here's the decision you're going to have to make. And you said turn the other cheek as far as Jesus, but what about the next people they victimize?
And I know there have been others, and I know there will be others.
And there will be others.
Right.
And I don't think God would be too cool with that.
But they didn't get custody. I feel like God took care of things in some ways, and I think he's dealing with them, I mean, that's what I pray for. I can't say for sure. That's what I pray for. I put it in God's hands. But if there does come an opportunity where I need to expose some things, I'm not afraid to do that. I'm prepared to do that. I have everything.
Well, that's good, because you can't be afraid to. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not.
Right.
Don't let them make that decision for you, because then they have all the power.
Right. I agree.
So, Kelly, did you have anything else you wanted to cover on this subject with us?
No. I would just say, every day these people they want to tear us down. Narcissistic people, I don't know what they have in them that does this, but their goal is to tear people down limb by limb. And some of them are better at it than others. And I think we always just have to have our guard up,
That's a great observation. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your story. Again, it means so much. I was even watching the comment section for a little bit there, and a lot of people were saying they really appreciate your story and it's helping them. So I know that helps, so thank you, and good luck in your situation. Ollie, do you have anything else for her?
Yeah, honestly, thank you for sharing, and good luck. And just, when you're, focus on your son, focus on your family, and, just be prepared for these people the next time, because it's toxicity.
You're right.
And
it is.
The only thing you can do is to cut it out the second you realize it. You don't, and you know what? You're a spiritual person. You're a religious person. Pray for them. I'm not much of the prayer type, but and that's the best I think you can do. Cut them out and pray for the best, and as somebody who's coming from the position you are, I mean, I think that's best for you.
Thank you.
Kelly, hey, thanks again for coming on tonight. Thanks, Ollie, for your input. And hey, we'll do it again sometime, okay? And I hope this helps, and stay strong out there. All right, Kelly.
Thank you, guys.
I think she left.
I'm here. Y'all have a good night. Thanks.
Take care.
See ya. All right, man. So, hey, Ollie, we'll just end with you and I for a bit, if that's cool.
Yeah.
We've gone about an hour and 40 minutes. Are you cool with maybe another 20 or so?
Yeah, whatever you want to do, man. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I figured, I'd like to introduce you to the people. And like I said, your work helped me out a lot in the past. We come from different, some philosophical differences, but that never matters to me. And that may upset some people out there. But again, I've been friends with people on YouTube and even in real life that don't follow my spiritual beliefs, So it is what it is. All right. And I'll just say that much. So there's no argument there. Ollie's work has been incredible because of his background, and he comes from a family. I mean, I still listen to a lot of your older videos to this day, and of course the new ones, because the stories are so, they're disturbingly entertaining. I know they shouldn't be entertaining, but they are. But then the reality that these people exist is actually quite frightening. But did you want to maybe just give people a bit of a background on how you know so much about this subject?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you how I basically got into this. You know, I lost my job 5 years ago, and I basically just started talking into my webcam, figuring out what I was going to do about my childhood. And people listened. And, you know, through some very basic research online, to make a long story short, I figured out, I read about narcissistic personality disorders, cluster B personality. And for once, for the first time, I had a way to explain my childhood and what had happened to me and growing up with my family, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the sexual abuse, the covert narcissism, the overt narcissism, the gaslighting that lasted well into adulthood. And I started talking into my webcam, and you saw those very, very early videos. KJ was very early to find me. And you made me a part of that documentary, The Psychology of Demons, which I think you uploaded 2 or 3 times. And each time you uploaded, that thing had a couple 100,000 views on it, right?
Yeah, that's one of the famous, for me at least, videos that YouTube just does not want. It's on my website now, though, if people want to go see it. It's whoiskjosborne with a Z.com. It's called Narcissist, The Psychology of Demons. And I had to make that after I had my experience, and I saw Ollie's work and some other people I peppered in there as well. I had to put it out, and man, that was one of the biggest and quickest responses I'd got. That really went viral fast every time I put it up. And it wasn't because I was on camera talking, it was because you guys were people who had experience with this. And then I, of course, interlaced it and made it creative or whatever, but it was your stories that blew that up. So yeah, thank you again. And anyway, and you're welcome, and whatever. Go ahead.
What I figured out very early doing this, and very quickly, is the reason people have issues who've been through therapy is therapists don't give you validation. They look at you, they're like, well, what did you think? And how does that feel? And by the time you get revved up and start getting into a groove, you're out the door, and your mind is screwed up for the next 3 days in a dark place. And because of HIPAA laws and privacy laws, which are important, you walk out of the therapist's office thinking, this therapist doesn't understand me. I must be the craziest person that ever walked the face of the earth. Everything they say about me is right. But then when you start talking about your experiences and putting them into words, and what I do is read other people's stories and give my opinions, and people are like, holy shit, the same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. That's what that's called. Oh my God, I'm not crazy. And it's not even unique. These people are everywhere. And once you realize that, and you realize what you've lost, and you realize, holy shit, I've gone through life thinking I'm the problem. I've gone through life thinking I'm crazy. I've gone through life thinking like sometimes the sky isn't blue, even though I'm looking at it, I know it's blue. And because my abuser told me it was green, it must be green. And there's something wrong with me that I can't see that the sky is green.
Well, your mother and father were both narcissists, is that right? Or still are, I guess.
My mother is a borderline personality. My father has narcissistic personality disorder. And boy, are they a tandem together. Anybody who wants to get a taste, because the channel really started with a recording of my mother, which really was the catalyst for me and my wife moving to Florida after she threatened me and my wife after my daughter's softball game, drunk. It's 11 minutes of her making death threats, calling my wife a whore. And like, if you want to hear 11 minutes of narcissism, you go on my channel and you look for phone call from narcissistic mother. It's the first video out of 1100. And that's where it starts. And you'll hear a lot of you will hear your own abuser in my mother's voice and say, I can't tell you how many people have heard that video. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's like my own mother. It's my own father. It's my own grandmother. You know, that valid. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask something about your mom, because that's something that always stood out to me. I doubt this person's even listening, but one of my friends through high school, his mother, all your stories reminded me of her, and the fact that she was overtly sexual. Like everything was very sexual with this lady. She's a lot older than us. Would walk around with really revealing type things, and she had pictures of herself up wearing lingerie, and I mean it was always kind of creepy. So you want to talk a bit about some of that stuff? I mean, it's
like both my parents, but my mother, like my father had my pictures of my mother all over the house in lingerie, stuck on the refrigerator so your friends see it, picture frames all over the house. My mother was constantly walking around in her underwear with her friggin' tits out. Constantly overtly sexual, putting her hands on you, touching your legs, rubbing up on you, trying to bust in on you in the bathroom. Narcissists love to break into bathrooms. It's just something they love to do. And it's because they don't want to even give you control over your own body. They control every aspect about you. And, you know, and then we got my father with his, you know, plus they were basically swingers. They were having sex all over town on the Little League diamond. My father had pornography, had Playboys and penthouses in every room of the house, in every bathroom, in every room, on every couch, everywhere. So that's basically what I grew up in.
Yeah.
And that sounds like your friend's mom, right?
It's weird, man. And she was also, well, she was an alcoholic, and like I said, she'd walk around early in the evenings because we were kids. You know, stay at each other's house when you're little kids. You know, your best friends and stuff. And she'd walk around, getting drunk early, wearing this lingerie and stuff. And then sometimes I saw her not only verbally abusing her son, but physically. Like I watched her push him backwards down some steps one time. I mean, until years later that I started getting into the subject more and looking at it, I was like, wow, I've known these people my whole life. You know, I just didn't know I just thought she was acting weird because she was drinking, but she was acting like that when she wasn't drinking too, you know, so.
Oh yeah. I mean, the most violent fights I've ever gotten has been with my mother, and you can't knock that woman out. And I've knocked out 6-foot men in my past, and that woman, you cannot put her down. She will keep coming at you. She is an absolute monster, and very violent.
If somebody were to ask you, how can you spot a narcissist? What are some tips you can give people? They may be with one and not realize it, who knows, but can you cover that a little bit?
If you think you're with one, you are. Basically, because look, if you're at the point where, like with April, where you're constantly having the same violent fights over and over and over again, saying, will this person ever change? They're never going to. They're never going to, because look, narcissism isn't in a bubble. You don't end up with a narcissistic spouse or a narcissistic boyfriend or girlfriend in a bubble. It usually originates from your childhood, from something in your past. As an adult, when you're dealing with another narcissist who you brought into your life, there's a reason why. Okay, they're now the symptom, they're not the cause. You still have to get back to the cause. Okay, if you're constantly asking yourself, am I the problem? Okay, if you're like, I don't remember that, I know it wasn't said like that, and if you're constantly asking yourself, are you crazy? You're probably 99% of the time you're with a narcissist, and you've been gaslighted to the point where you don't believe reality in front of your face. And that's the whole point, because once you believe you're crazy, then you don't believe anybody will believe you. And
man, that is exactly what this person did to me too. It's like the gaslighting, which, I didn't see it coming. I didn't think people would play such dark mental games. I really and I'm kind of naive like that, I guess. And then I saw it, and it shocks you, man. It's like they just find any button they can on you, and they'll say it even sweetly sometimes, just enough to get you thinking and wondering. And then, then when it's all turned around and you finally realize what they're doing and you call them out, suddenly you're the crazy one. You're crazy. Right. It's like,
well, we're just having a nice moment. You got to wreck everything. See, this is what I'm talking about with you, KJ, right? Something like that. And then you're defending yourself. And it's all trained to get you not to even open your mouth, follow along, and give me what I want. Because that's all the narcissist wants, what they want. It's all self-serving. You got to remember, these people don't like themselves. They don't. They hate themselves.
But if they were to ask, I'm sure they would. And you know the answer, of course. But what's the only way you can truly get away from a narcissist?
Distance. You got to ghost. Distance. The more distance, the better. Okay? And even distance, they're never going to stop. They're never going to stop talking about you. They're never going to stop plotting against you. They're never going to stop trying to build little flying monkeys, okay, gossiping behind your back, it's not. And it's going to get to a point, even after when you break contact, they will find a new victim because they need to get their narcissistic supply from someone. And usually who will approach you is usually the old golden child, the person that used to be your arch nemesis who they gave everything to. And the only purpose is to they come in looking for you to draw you back in to give the narcissist their original target back. Once you're out, you can never look back because they don't ever change. Not till they die.
Thanks, Ollie, for your wisdom on that, man. Perfect answers there. And I guess I'll go ahead and start wrapping it up. It's almost been a couple hours, but I really just want to thank you first off for being a co-host, man, and really just kind of running the game. Well, I appreciate your wisdom in the subject so much. Go ahead.
No worries. And I know we don't probably agree on everything, but I'm glad we can have a nice open dialogue and really talk about these issues because they are important. In my opinion, if you understand the tenets of narcissism and cluster B personality disorders, so many other things in society start making sense.
Man, that's so true. It even helped in my research once I realized it and I started seeing the whole world in a whole new light, really. But that's true, man. Hey, I posted a link to your YouTube channel a few times in the chat over here on the side. But if you want to go ahead and tell the audience it's listening, because they may not be, they're going to listen later. How can we find your work?
Yeah, you just go on the YouTube, either put in my name, Ollie Matthews, OLLIE MATHEWS, or my channel name, The Narcissistic Resistance. And they both just pop up my channel pretty quickly. So I'm on YouTube. If you want to contact me, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you want your story on the channel, there's ways to do that as well. This is, and me and KJ have talked about this as well. This is what we do for a living. This is our profession. This is the way of new media. And it's something something I have a hard time coming to grips with, and it's something even KJ, believe as big as he is, has a hard time coming to grips with as well. And KJ, I'm telling you, you're somebody who built YouTube. I hope you realize how valuable you are to this platform. And
shucks, man, thanks.
I mean that. And for my wife was so pumped when we first started talking, because I'm telling you, she's been following you since you had like 500 subs. So she's known you for a very long time. And you're one of the people that's built this platform into what it is. And for YouTube, look, I took it. I haven't gotten paid for my ads for 6 months because of dishonest network hosts. You, with the amount of your subs, listen, we've all taken it on the chin now with these subs, and they're trying to force us out off the work guys like you, especially you, because I've only been around a very short period of time, but guys like you have been been content producers for years, they are trying to force out, and it's wrong. And all your followers need to know that, okay, and need to support you in any way they can, because you're an important voice, and you're an honest voice, and you're a voice of dialogue and open discussion, and you're needed on here. So I hope everybody who listens to you and is a fan of you understands that, and understands that, you know, guys like KJ and me and other small YouTube content creators, we depend on you guys now. Okay, we are going to either survive or fail by all of you. So, and I thank all my people who've come in to follow me, and I'm sure KJ, you feel the same way. I know you feel the same way about all your followers. So,
man, I'm humbled, and thank you. And I kind of chuckled because I thought at the end of, as what you were saying right there, it'd be cool if both of our screens came up and we were holding Pepsi, and we said at the same time, "This is why we choose Pepsi for the new generation." No, but man, everything you said, I believe too. Like you said, we talk about this stuff behind the scenes, and you know, there's people out there that have been supporting me on Patreon, which helps, and that's always open for other people. I'd maybe leave a link below or something, and I appreciate it, guys. I mean, I run a website as well, so Ollie, thanks for putting that out there, man. I mean, and you're right, it's such a touchy subject sometimes, you know, because some people get really mad about, you know, you mentioning stuff like that. But as we were saying, you know, we're all guilty of spending $100 a month on Wi-Fi and cable, TV we don't need, and junk food. And why not chip in $1 or $5 a month or whatever, just to support an artist or a philosopher?
KJ, you have 305 subscribers. If everybody gave you a buck a year, I mean, I think you'd be living okay, right?
Yeah, I'd be giving a lot of it back too. I mean,
exactly. But think about that. And you give a lot of joy to people, and a lot of entertainment, and you've educated a lot of people. I don't know. So, and that's important, okay? Because you're and here's the thing, you're not analyzing other people's things. You're talking, you're giving your opinion. It's your mind, your value, the value of what you're thinking up and your opinions. And sometimes that's a very, very difficult thing to put a value on yourself, because I said this, and I've said this on my channel, and me and you talked about this. The fact that anybody would want to pay me for my opinion is still mind-blowing to me. But it's time we both, you know, you come to that realization. And
man, well, no, man, thanks for that. And you know, you're right. I mean, I see some other channels actually have talked about the difficulty with YouTube, but we're all definitely experiencing it. And, you know, it is what it is, man. It's a censorship thing. And I've proven to people in the past that I'll go work in the real world. I've worked 3 jobs in this year, because I came back in December, and I got fired from all 3 jobs. So you want to talk about a message? I felt like my sign was to try to focus on my website and my work more and do more shows, and we'll see how it plays out, you know? So, but thanks again, Ollie, man. That's very kind and encouraging words, and humbling as well.
Well, it's 10 p.m., so it's 2 hours. You want to let these people get on with their lives?
Right. Well, hey, I got a lot of love for you, man, and we'll talk.
Same here.
We have each other's number. Let's just chat sometime soon, okay?
Absolutely. You know, my phone's always on anytime. And thank you to all your followers and subs. I know we have some crossover fans as well, but you guys have all been great. So thank you, everybody, for the opportunity.
Thanks, man. Have a good night, Ollie. I'll talk to you later.
You too.
All right, bye. All right, so I'll jump over here to the chat for a second before we go and say some last-minute goodbyes here. And, hey, guys, we got a great crowd. We had a great crowd tonight. And, you know, really appreciate you. Like I said, you guys taking some time out to come and check out the shows live. It's great. Even those of you that listen to them afterwards, you know, I really appreciate all that. And sharing with your friends, you know, hopefully they help you. If you've learned a thing or two, entertained. I really want to thank all my guests, all of them, Ollie included, but everybody tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on and sharing your stories. It means a lot, you know, just to have an audience with the real people out there. You know, these are some of the best stories I've ever heard are from the real people out there. So thank you, guys. Anyway, I'll let you go. Take care, guys. We'll do some more shows here real soon. I got some planned and more videos on the way. Check out my website, whoiskjosborne with a Z.com. for more videos that I can't put on YouTube. And if you'd like to, you know, if you like the work I do, and if you'd like to support the work I do, Please consider the Patreon or the donate button on the website. Like I never used to have to do that, guys. You know this. Those who've been with me for a long time. But as Ollie and I were saying, it's kind of one of those things, you know, it's kind of the time we're at. And you got to give it a shot, you know, and see. And if not, I'll go back into the world and get another job, you know. I'm not even going to put that out there, though. I don't want that to be my truth. I want to have time to do these kinds of things and just spend time with you guys and do videos. I'm going to stop rambling. It's what I do. Take care, guys. I'll talk to you later.